Hi, and welcome back to Cheney's TCG store. Today I have another market watch for you. Going to be on the shorter side, but I do think I pulled up a few good cards to look at. And then towards the end, we are going to look at Darkwing Blast and some of the first pre-sales that I've seen available online. So first is Kawaki Marrow Drago from Raging Battle. This version is ultra rare and I believe the original print, but you also have a reprint ultra rare and one of the Battles of Legends sets, I believe. But this one's quite old at this point. Raging Battle kind of being a pretty famous set, but right now these are going for unlimited for 7 and says first edition around 8. If you look at the most recent sales, there's been some light plays selling for 6 and then a near mint here for 850. Right now, lowest for lightly played first edition. And we're only going to really look at first edition because that's like, there's not really a price difference. Is going to be $7.50. And then lowest near mint is 850 and then no shipping cost included either, which I think is pretty good. The reason I wanted to look at this card is because I know that there will be some dragon decks running around after we get Darkwing Blast. Specifically, I can think of, of course, Dragon Link in some form with the Bisted cards, as well as Dragon Maid, which I think Dragon Maid will probably actually be pretty good. But I was looking at this card because you can special summon it off of your Heavenly Spheres whenever it pops itself. And basically, when you special summon this card, neither player can special summon light or dark monsters for while this card's face up on the field. So say you're playing something like Tearlaments, which I think has quite a bit of dark monsters. I don't think all of them are dark. I think some of them are water. But there's of course other decks like Biced as well, mirror matches, I guess. But yeah, there's tons of light and dark decks in the game. So this would be something like if you were wanting to tech into your dragon deck, you would probably want to play it in your side deck, not in the main, just because you don't know what you're going up against. I don't think this would be very effective against every deck. It has to be specifically a light or dark dominant deck. Drytrons it would be really good against, but yeah, just something to think about. Once you pop your spheres, it special summons this out, and like I said, both players will lock out a special summoning light or dark monsters while this is face up. And I think honestly, $8 for a ultra rare first edition from Raging Battle is good in its own right, regardless if it sees play or not. But I have seen deck lists where people are taking this in for dragon decks. Moving on. Chaos Emperor, the Dragon of Armageddon. This still only has this one printing, and of course the original prize card, I believe. And these were down recently, down towards like $35 to $38. And I think I talked about this not long ago on here, where I said that you should probably go ahead and pick these up if you want them when they were $38, just because I do think this will see play in most Dragon Link decks once Bisteel comes out. I guess it's Bisteel now, not Biced, but it's just a super good card because you're of course with the Bisteel cards you're constantly banishing light and dark monsters from your graveyard, and in a dragon deck where you're able to like put this in your pendulum zone and then target one of the banished dragon monsters, destroy this card, and then if you do, you add that monster to your hand, is just ridiculous. And then of course this goes back to your extra deck, so you could still special summon it. So it also helps you push for game too, like even if it doesn't really have any protection for itself, if it keeps getting destroyed every turn, you can just keep bringing it back by banishing light and dark. And being 3,000 is just a good beat stick, as well as being able to add back banished cards to your hand, which is really nice. These are pushing up now. Lowest is 47 here, and kind of bottoms out here towards 50. So hopefully you got them if you did want this card. But if at this point I wouldn't pick them up unless you're going to play them, but they'll probably hang out around the 45 to 50 range. I don't think they'll go up too much higher. Just kind of depends as well how many people are wanting to play this deck. Again, this is a solo print, so people that wanted to collect prize cards, this would be something that they would collect. So you do have like kind of a collector's aspect to this, as well as this being like a retrain for like a classic card. But yeah, I do think this is a pretty good tech choice for Dragon decks. And even Dragon Maids, you could probably use it, but it's not nearly as good as Dragon Link. Just because Dragon Link has like a huge focus on banishing monsters for effects. Next is Access Code Talker. So I pulled this up because we did get the announcement that we're going to get a reprint in the Battles of Legends set this year. And this was hanging around the 100 to 110 mark, but now it's cooled down. Lowest tier at 76 for lightly played, going up to 83 for near mint. And I wanted to pull this up because I think this is actually a pretty good price for this card. I do imagine that the access code reprint will be a secret rare slot. If you remember Forbidden Droplets, from this last Battle of Legends, decently hard to get, was short printed, and I kind of feel like they'll probably do the same thing again here. So I don't expect the price of this to go down too much further. The gold rares will definitely go down, but those are already at like $35 anyway. So like if you just needed a copy, you could pick those up. But I honestly would stay away from the gold rares, like unless you like have to get that version, because the secret rares are obviously going to hold a way better value if you need to play it right now, and they just look a ton better and are just better quality. So just something to keep your eye on. Next is going to be Punk. So I wanted to talk about this because the prices for this decor is like falling out pretty much across the board for every one of their cards. And, obviously that comes with Hulk being banned and Chaos Ruler being banned. But I still think this deck is really good. Obviously those cards were pretty good extenders for this deck, but this deck doesn't need those cards to play. They're still pure punks. I think the engine version of this deck is dead. You're not going to be playing this as an engine anymore. It's just not going to be the best engine. But as a pure deck, I still think that it's pretty competent and is still really powerful. Of course, with that field spell that is allowing you to draw like multiple times per turn. But right now, the collector's rare Foxy Tunes are $48, which I think is super fair for this card. This was going for around like in the 90s when punks were seeing a lot of play. And then I think before the ban, they were going for like around 70, which I thought was pretty good price for 70, but 48 is really, really good. So if you want to pick these up long term, I don't think it's a bad time. I have heard that these are like one of the best looking collector rares that we have in the game, which I imagine it is. Just the color scheme is really cool in this card. Ogre Dance is going for $20, which is, again, I think pretty crazy to me. You would play this at 3 copies in pure punk, so it's definitely not like a one-up or anything. Amazing Dragons for going for around $20. This card's not bad. The new level 8 that they got is definitely a lot better, but you play both in the pure deck build for sure. Foxy Tune Ultra Rares are going for $11 to $12. If you remember, these were at $35 at one point. I think maybe even up to 40 at certain points. So crazy to see this low again. But if you wanted like a cool deck to pick up and play around with, Punk is definitely a pretty sweet deck, and you're definitely gonna do well at locals with that deck still currently. Deer notes are down to $3-4. At this point, this is from like a core set being Dimension Force. You don't really need to invest in these unless you're just playing the deck. But this will get reprinted in the Mega Tins next year, most likely. We have no idea when we'll get the reprints for the original punks out of Grand Creators, because obviously that's a side set, so we don't know. There's not like a set reprint table for that. Ultra Rare Ogre Dance, $3 here. Not too bad. This will probably float down back to like $1.50 or $2 where it was. And then Ultra Rare Amazing Dragons under $1, and then everything else is pretty much pennies. But just something to keep your eye on if you wanted to like pick up a cool deck. I don't know that I would invest into this core. Like if you're looking to like get value back out of it, maybe just the Foxy 10 collector rares or the collector rares in general. Next is Cosmic Cyclone. So, since Mystic Mine is pretty heavily played in this format we're currently in, you need a way to deal with it. And this is definitely, in my opinion, the best way to deal with it, because you can get around protection for Mystic Mine, which is a lot of the protection that you can play for Mystic Mine is that it can't be destroyed. But of course, Cosmic Cyclone banishes, so you can get around those restrictions or protections rather. Ultimate rares are still around $100, which is I think pretty fair for this card. I haven't seen it in person, but I imagine the ultimate rare looks pretty good. And if I was going to pick between the ultimate rare and the collector rare, I would definitely go with the ultimate rare, being as it's the highest rarity and it's OTS Tournament Pack 7, so it's quite old at this time or at this point. Collector's rare is at 42. That's not bad, but again, like it's going to be shadowed by the ultimate rare. And so I just don't think that this is going to gain too much value unless the ultimate rare like really spikes like crazy. Original print secret rares are up to $10, maybe up to the 12 range, which is really not bad. All the secret rares were bought out a time ago. I mean, it was like sometime in the last year or so, where I think the original print Cosmic Cyclone was like 18 to 20 bucks. Which is not bad. My preferred version though is the secret rare from the Battle City box. I just think the quality on those cards were really good, and I think that those were all European print, so they had like the really dark card and artwork, which is always nice as well. And the foiling is just like impeccable on the Battle City, or really I guess the Speed Duel sets as a whole. The box sets, not like the regular Speed Duel sets. But these are going for like $9, which to me is crazy. This was also up at like $20 at one point because not only does it like, viable to play in the TCG, like there was only a couple of versions of Cosmic Cyclone for the Speed Duel format as well. Actually, this might have been the introduction of Cosmic Cyclone into the Speed Duel format, so that's kind of like was pumping up the price as well. Mega 10 secret rares are around $8 to $10. I would stay away from these. Like if you're they're not that much cheaper than just getting the original print or getting the Battle City box. If you're getting a secret rare, go with the original or the Battle City. Ultra rares are $2 here, and you got quite a bit of commons. Interesting enough, the Speed Duel commons are still worth a couple bucks. These were worth more at one point. I think they were like, I sold mine for like $3 or $4 at one point, but now they're back down. But Cosmic Cyclones are kind of down in price across the board right now. I guess they probably went down. The commons went down because it got a reprint common in the GX box as well. But we can go ahead and move on. Next is Different Dimension Ground. And you have a couple ultra rare reprints as well, but I have the original print super rare up because this is just the version that I personally like. I think it looks super clean, and it's Star Strike Blast, which is quite old at this point. These are going for around $6, floating up towards $8 here, bottoming out to 10 on the first page. Interesting. I've been thinking about trying this card out as like a good side deck option for going first, because the last time I went to locals, which I guess is about a week, I guess last Friday, I played Tearlaments and got absolutely torn up. And it's because like I had plenty of negates, but it just seemed like everything that I negated would then go to grave and then, re-trigger. So it's just a really hard deck to deal with, and it's only going to get worse. So you need a way to, like, I guess, play really high impact cards. Like Ash Blossom is not cutting it. Stuff like that is not going to cut it. Imperm's not going to cut it. You need to play really high impact side deck cards to deal with that deck. And Different Dimension Ground is a really good starting spot. Basically, any monster, when you flip this up, any monster sent to the grave during the turn gets banished. So it kind of limits their plays quite a bit. They can still play and probably do something, but this obviously is going to hurt them quite a lot because they want to get as much, I guess, resources into their grave as like quick as possible. So definitely a pretty good card. You should definitely check it out or try it out in your matches against Tearlaments. I think it's pretty good. Of course, there's like Dimension Shifter, but not every deck can play Dimension Shifter. I think this is probably one of the easiest generic banish cards that you can play at currently, and it doesn't affect you on your turn, which is always nice. So just keep that in mind. And you have really cheap reprints as well, like the ultra rare from Build Devastators, like maybe $1. Okay, now we're gonna do the pre-sales for Darkwing Blast from Gamer's Choice, which I think is the only one that has them right now, unless someone has just recently put them up. But I checked Tier 0 and YGO Daily, and they haven't had theirs up. And of course, TCG Player doesn't have them up as well. So the Starlights, interesting enough, when I looked at these earlier, these were all 199 each. And apparently they sold out so fast that they had to keep bumping the price up. And the Tearlaments and the new Ecclesia card are both sold out at 300, which is very interesting. I thought that the Ecclesia card would like flop in the beginning and then maybe pick up some steam over long term just for the artwork. I don't think the card's very good. I did have a little bit of hopes for it, but when I started testing it out, it doesn't really do anything for you except for just give you a body. But the artwork looks really, really cool, I think, and I would like to have one just for the binder. The Lady Labyrinth is, I think you play it like a couple copies of this in that Labyrinth deck, but I'm not sure how many people are going to be on that deck. So I would be surprised if this card kind of sticks at 300. I see this more like 200 or 215. But yeah, if you pick some of these up at 200, I think 200 was a really good price for them to start at. Really low, especially for the Tearlaments card. I would have figured that would have started more off like 275 to 300. But I am surprised that it's sold out at 300. The Bestial Core here is at 200 and it is sold out already. I guess one thing to note, I believe most of the core is super rare except for Lubellion, which is secret rare, which I think everybody originally thought was going to be an ultra rare, but which I was really going to be surprised if it was. But it was really kind of nice of them to make most of the cards super rare and then just have one secret rare, just to make it more affordable, because this could have been a really expensive core. 200 is not terrible, but I honestly think that it's not. You're going to be able to get it for a lot cheaper than 200. For one reason, like I do think that Lubellion will probably be $50 to $60 a copy. Super rares will be initially really cheap, but I would keep your eyes out for these super rare dragons, especially Magnamute, because that could start off at like 85 cents to $1.50 and then easily go to $5 over the next couple of months after release, because a lot of people are going to want it. But the deck core did start off when I looked at it earlier for 180, and then they bumped the price up to 200 and of course sold out. They have Lubellion now for $60, which is not terrible if you just want to, go ahead and pull the trigger. I do think it's probably going to be around $50 to $60 because I think a lot of people are going to play this as an engine. It's just super good in the format. The Kashtira deck core is going for 180. I'm not a fan of that price personally. I do think that the ultra rares will be expensive to a certain extent, but you don't really need to play all these cards. If you're playing it as an engine, you're just going to be playing these two monsters from what I've seen. Maybe you could play one of the other ones. I don't know. But I would, if I was playing it, I would personally play 3 of the, what's it called? 3 Fenrir and then 1 of the other monster, which is, I can't remember either. What's that say? Unicorn. But I'm sure different people are going to play it different ways. I would wait on this because I do think Fenrir will probably be an expensive ultra rare, but I think it would settle somewhere between 17 and 20 before it went back up to 25 plus. I don't think it's going to be like crazy expensive or anything, but somewhere between 15 and 20, I would say, on release. And it's currently pre-selling for 25, I believe. Spellbound at $40. I do think that this card has a lot of potential, and I do think that it's a pretty good card. My problem with this is it's not going to be good against every deck, and it would have to be a competent player playing this and know each deck that they're playing against to hit somebody at the right time, because it's only all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. So anything they special summon after, or normal summon or whatever, after you play this card is like free and clear. You can do anything you want with them. Can be pretty powerful, but I think I still would prefer to play some of the other like trap floodgates that we have in the game over this. But I could see where this card would be pretty good. You would just need to know the decks really well that you're playing against. Goatee deck 35 is fine. I mean, it does have a couple of secret rares in there, but I don't know how many people are going to be looking to get Goatee and Black Wings, but Black Wings I think will be a lot cheaper than this. I think most of their cards are like commons or super rares. Sprint is overpriced to me at 30. It is a one copy, but I do think this will come down towards like 22, maybe $20. Can't say much about the Draco Slayer because I don't really know too much about what that deck will be doing. Ninja at 25, I think is again is a little bit overpriced for what you're getting. Finner is sold out at 25. That's pretty interesting. Again, I do think it's going to start much cheaper than 25. This is overpriced at 20 as well. I think that this card's good, but I don't think it's going to see that much play. 20 is fine for this card. It'll probably be lower, like because it's going to be a one of, but it's not like I expect a lot of the secret rares to start off at 20. Ecclesia, this is like way overrated at $20. I really don't think this card's going to see any play for the most part. I think that's mainly everything. Unicorn will be cheaper than 13 for sure. Okay, yeah, so this is interesting. So the Bestial Magnum Moot is starting off at $6. I do kind of feel like this super rare will get to $5 to $6 naturally after the set drops. It's like maybe a month or two down the line, because I do think a lot of people are going to play this deck, or this engine rather. And this is like a mandatory 3 of. The card's just so good, and guarantees that you're going to get a Dragon Search at the end phase. Super good, but I would maybe wait and see if you can't snag these for $1 or $2 on release. But that is going to be everything for this watch. Again, this is gamer's choice if you wanted to come check these out for yourself. I do think the prices are kind of inflated right now, so you might just want to wait and for more competition to kind of show up with their pre-sale prices and push these prices down. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you in the next one. Bye.